I was coming off of my injury, and I didn't have a time goal set in mind. I just wanted to go and have fun. One of the main bits of advice my husband gave me before I did that race was just smile at everyone. I loved that. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to see how much light I can spread on this course. And so I decided that during the day I was just going to smile and I was just going to lift people up and just try and be a light for the people around me. And it was amazing.
You are listening to Feminine Will, powered by Sweatseat. I'm Andrea McKee. This is a show about women who choose athleticism, adventure, and bravery every day. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Feminine Will. Every Monday, you're going to get a new episode of a woman who is adventurous, athletic, or brave, usually a combination of all three. Be sure to hit the subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts so that you can get new episodes every single Monday. The biggest feedback I get all the time from people is, these women are so inspiring, and they make me want to do and be better. Feel free to look through past episodes so you can see who we've had on the show, because we've had some incredibly stellar women. Today's episode is a conversation I had with Lindsey Brown, a triathlete. She's done 3 half Ironmans and was about to do her first full Ironman when COVID-19 happened. And the week that she and I talked was when her triathlon was supposed to happen. So shout out to her for doing the training, and to so many of you who did training and then didn't get to do your race. But the good news is she's planning on doing one in September. Stay tuned for her story. Shout out to all the mamas out there and those who are moms of dogs and cats and whatever it is that you mother or cultivate love to or nurture. I just want to recognize you from last weekend. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. If you're not a mother and that you want to be, I want to send you so much love, because I know that is incredibly hard for so many women. Thank you so much for serving and loving and for being kind and thoughtful to other people. All of you mamas at heart out there. I want to give a quick shout out to 2 of my favorite women entrepreneurs. They are doing amazing things. Both of their products are made in the USA. Kia Peak, who makes incredible visors. You guys, you need to go visit KEAPEAK.com if you haven't, and check out their visors. She invented and patented this design. It's a cool looking visor. It's not your typical grandma looking visor. No offense to the grandmas out there. We love you and your visors. But this one it feels younger, and I have to and love them. I also want to do a shout out to the Break Active. If you need a ring that is not your wedding ring to wear when you're working out, you need to go check it out. thebreakactive.com. These are really cute, trendy, and they're super comfortable for when you're working out. So go check it out. For those of you who are not following Sweatseat's Instagram or Facebook, you need to go do that. Sweatseat, SWETSEAT. It is a seat cover that is machine washable, super, super lightweight, and it's waterproof. So it's going to protect your vehicle seat. So after you go and work out or run or whatever it is that you do, cycle, swim, you don't have to get your car all sweaty or dirty. You just put your sweat seat on your car and it's totally protected. You don't have to change out of your swimsuit. If the seat is hot, you don't get your legs burned. Like, this is a serious issue for me and a lot of other people. I don't like burning my legs on my hot seat. So if you need something for your seat, go check out the product that I invented, Sweatseat. I love it. It is the best seat cover on the market, guaranteed. Like, I did not like what I found, so I invented something better. And it's made in the USA. It doesn't get better than that. I mean, women-owned company, made in the USA. Go check it out, sweatsy.com. And we'll just kind of head into the interview. So, hi, Lindsey.
Hi. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you joined me. So I would just want to kind of go back to the beginning. Tell me about how you got into doing triathlons from the start.
From the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My beginning triathlon experience is actually one of my favorite stories to tell and one of my favorite triathlon experiences. So it all began in 2016, where I signed up for a swim relay. So for Ironman St. George, I had 2 friends, and we decided we were going to do the relay, and I was going to do the swim portion. But at the time, when I had the idea, I didn't know how to swim. I loved the water, but I never really learned, actually how to really swim.
Like the technique and everything that would kind of help you be a really efficient swimmer. Like you could swim to save your life, but you couldn't, you weren't like a racer or anything like that.
Yep. I could doggy paddle. In fact, I didn't even know that when you swam across the pool and back, that was called a lap.
Okay, yeah.
I used to call it a swipe. I would say, I can do like 30 swipes, and that was like one time across the pool, and then
that's funny.
Anyways, it was I was total novice, but I set that goal because I wanted to learn how to swim.
Oh, cool.
And my motive in wanting to learn how to swim was because I eventually wanted to do a Ironman triathlon down the road.
And why did you where did you get the idea of I want to do an Ironman?
That came because of my husband. He was into Ironmans and triathlons, and I would go and support him and cheer him on at the finish line, and it was so inspiring every time. And I would be in tears at every finish line, and I just have always kind of known in being at those finish lines that was something I eventually wanted to do.
Wow. So can we talk about just a little bit about how into these he is? You said you've been at the finish line for several of them.
Yes. He's done 2 full Ironman races, and actually his very first ever triathlon was a full Ironman. Wow. And it was the St. George Ironman in 2012. And some people might be familiar with that particular race. They say it was the most challenging Ironman race in history.
Whoa.
And you would know that Ironman races are already hard. They're 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and then a full marathon at the end. So that's already challenging. So to make it more challenging, during his race, there were 30 and 40 mile an hour winds that kicked up during the swim. And the swimmers got into the water where the water was glass, and then 10 minutes after they were all in the water is when the winds kicked up at the lake. And there were 3 and 4 foot swells of waves, and the rescue boats were having to go off of the lake because they were getting swamped. Wow. And I would watch as I was on the shore and dumpsters were flying through the air. I watched the rescue boats, like the actual motorized boats that were still on the water, were bringing people in by the boatloads because people were really struggling out there.
Wow.
So that was crazy, and he ended up finishing the race and finishing the swim, and he said it was very hard because throughout the whole bike the winds were 30, 40 mile an hour, and
that's incredible.
Miles per hour. So yeah, he finished it, and I think that race alone, it was what really inspired me to want to do it. Just watching, the whole day was filled with adrenaline, just watching it, and so.
And how long does it take, kind of like an average or a range of time frame wise? How long might it take somebody to finish something like that? Was it like a full day, or was it like a half day, or okay?
for me, I'm planning on hopefully hitting around 13 hours.
Okay.
13, and they give you, I think, 17 hours to finish. I could be mistaken, but that's my best guess. So it is a full day. You start at 7 in the morning and you finish at 7 or 8 p.m.
Wow.
So.
Okay. That's really interesting for me to know, just because, I mean, I kind of have a general idea of, hours it might take somebody to finish a marathon, but I have no idea what it might take somebody to finish one of those. So that's really insightful for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so you, okay, I'm first of all just amazed that kind of experience actually inspired you to to do a triathlon, an Ironman nonetheless. Because a lot of people would be like, man, that looks really hard. I do not want to do that. So I'm curious about what it was that inspired you.
So I'll go back to my story when I was telling you about swimming.
Okay.
Because that will help explain what inspires me to want to do the Ironman. And on race day, when I was actually ready for that swim, and I had prepared for a long time, and I'd swam the distance, so I knew I was ready. And on the race day, I didn't realize that I was sick.
Oh.
And I was up all night with a fever, just thinking it was just nerves. And so when I got in the water on the morning of the race, I started to panic. And a lot of triathletes, when they do their first open water swim, that happens. It's just kind of a thing. Many people experience that.
I've experienced that, yes. And that was on a sprint. Like, that was a really short one. Just a very teeny triathlon. So
you know, and it's real. Like, that anxiety sets in, and it's hard to overcome that.
It's totally different. Yeah, I mean, it's totally different than being in a pool. Even if you think, it's going to be, it might not be that much different, but it is. It's a lot different.
Yeah, and people are swimming on top of you, and you can't see into the water.
Yeah.
And the water temperature is cold a lot of the time. So that was my first experience, and I remember, I remember when I got into the water and I just froze, and I literally couldn't move for 20 minutes. And all the other swimmers had gone, and I was still stuck at the start, just in the water, just like keeping myself afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not move, and I was getting so frustrated and just wondering, am I even going to finish this? Because I had my other teammates doing the relay with me that were counting on me.
Yeah.
And so finally, after several minutes went by, a man in a kayak paddled over to me, and he's asked me if I was okay, and I just said, I don't know why I can't swim. I can't even get my face in the water. Like, it's just keeps taking my breath away.
Yeah. And
so he looked at me and he said, well, we're going to do this together. I'm going to get you to the finish line.
Oh.
And that was so awesome, because the rule in Ironman is you can't hold on to a boat. Like, they can't advance you, but they can paddle behind you. And so for the full 1.2 miles, because it was a half distance, he paddled behind me, and I was able to swim. And every so often I'd start panicking again, and I'd turn around, and he would be right there, and he'd just give me another word of encouragement.
Oh,
and
he's like an angel.
He literally, all the way to the finish line. And I still don't know who that man was, but I'm so grateful for him. So when I got done with that swim, with just like 5 minutes to spare, I kept having my kids, faces in my mind. I have 4 kids, and they watched me as I learned throughout the process while I was learning how to swim. They watched me go to the pool 3 times a week and diligently learn. And so I was so glad that I didn't give up on that experience. And so that's
beautiful.
Alone, and even after that race, they were like, Mom, because they could see me out there at the beginning of the race struggling.
Yeah.
And they said, Mom, we're just so proud of you for not quitting. And so I kind of realized at that moment how much of imitators kids are.
Yeah.
And I found this quote that says, children are good imitators, so give them something good to imitate.
Mm.
And so in seeing how inspiring that full Ironman was when my husband did that, it just made me realize how much influence I can have on my kids just in doing hard things and overcoming challenges.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know what? Thank you for sharing that story about swimming, because I actually had a very similar experience where the lifeguards in the kayaks, you know, like came and basically just made sure that I could make it and that I didn't drown. And I was like, thank you so much. I felt like they were my angels. And
yeah, you have so much gratitude.
Yes, so much. And I, you know, and that was something that I wondered, like, am I the only person who's ever experienced this? Because it was like kind of a hit to my ego. Because I just didn't do a good job with it. And it was so hard for me, so much harder than I anticipated. I had been practicing swimming too, but in the pool. And I knew it was going to be different, but I didn't know it was going to be that different. And so when I did it, it was a hit to my ego. And I actually so that's why I'm actually amazed that you took it a step further and did another one that actually didn't deter you, because after that I was kind of like, you know, I don't think triathlons are my thing. I was like, I'll stick with the half marathon running distance.
Well, and that is funny because I just had this quote written down because it's one of my favorite quotes. And it just says, the only difference between stumbling blocks and stepping stones is the way you use them.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that like applies in that situation so well. Like sometimes we use those difficult things in our lives and they are just stumbling blocks. They stop us, you know, dead in our tracks, and other times they just propel us to keep going. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so then from there, after you did that, you said it was a relay, and you did the swim part, which I think is fantastic, since that wasn't necessarily your strong point ahead of time. But you did it as a way for yourself to get better at that particular part of the race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you wanted to do, after that, did you do a half Ironman by yourself, or was it? Yes, are they always okay?
They're not always a relay. So the next year I did the St. George half Ironman, the full race. And I felt prepared because I had done the swim portion, you know. And I did that in May. And then in the following year, in 2018, I did that same race again. So I did it 2 years in a row.
Wow. And so what kind of training, like how much time does it take you to train for this?
The halves, that's kind of a tricky question because it depends on which portion of my training cycle I'm in. Because there's different portions. At first, you're just starting to build a base, and then you kind of go into just the building mode, and then you have peak training mode. So training is kind of happens in cycles. And so at the very most, I can't even think, I've been in full Ironman training mode lately. So honestly, I can't even remember how much time I would spend on a half. I can tell you a full Ironman training it's about during peak times, it's about 6 to 8 hours on the weekends. And then during the week, each day, it's about 2 to 3 hours during the most intense training period.
Okay. And so this was swimming, biking, and running in the 4 to 8 hours. Were you
actually, when I say 4 to 8 hours, that's how much time I'm spending on a bike alone.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's a long time for a bike, but the St. George Ironman course has a lot of elevation gain. And so it just is a slower course. And that's why I was spending so much time on my bike.
Okay. So you did, so that's referencing basically your recent training plan, because you were about to do your full Ironman that was supposed to be this upcoming Saturday. Now, are you going to do anything on your own to do it? Or are you going to kind of just wait until you can do one in an actual race again?
That is a good question. And I have been going back and forth, trying to decide what to do, but I have decided I'm not actually going to try and do it on my own. But before I signed up to do the St. George Ironman, the full, about I'm trying to think. So let's rewind. In November of 2018, I tore my ACL.
Ooh.
And that is not typically a triathlete injury because it's more of a basketball, soccer injury. But I tore it while I was kickboxing. And so I had surgery at the beginning of the year. And then in May, I decided to sign up for the Ironman because that was going to be kind of my comeback, to prove to myself I was healed. And so during my training cycle, I had to be very cautious and very careful that I didn't overdo it with my knee. And so when I found out that COVID kind of hijacked my plans of doing this Ironman, just like it has hijacked many plans for many people. I'm definitely not the only one. I kind of just took a step back and just said, okay, this might be actually a blessing to give myself a little more time to recover, give my knee a little more time to get its strength back. And so I just decided I'm going to wait and then start the new training cycle over again to be ready for the race when it happens in September, hopefully.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of rewind. I think it's great that it has worked in your favor, like unexpectedly.
Yes.
And I think that's wonderful that you're able to see, like, oh, okay, maybe this is actually what my body needs. So I'm going to rewind for a second because I want to kind of touch on the 3 half Ironmans that you did.
Okay.
So I want to know first, was this your first time racing anything?
No, I had done some half marathons and 2 marathons prior to getting into triathlon races.
Okay. And then with your triathlon racing, because you have 4 kids, right? So how did you begin to integrate the new training? What did it look like?
Just when I started training for Ironman, for half Ironman races.
Yeah.
It was tricky, especially because my husband and I were both training at the same time. And I had a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old at the time. So my kids are all very close in age and they were young. And so the way that we managed that is when we trained, we had to do it just early in the morning. And we would take shifts. So one of us would, like on the weekends when we had our longer training sessions, one of us would get the morning shift and the other one would get the afternoon shift.
Okay.
And we kind of always felt bad when we had to get the afternoon shift because it was usually hot and we were training in the heat. But my training for the 2017 and 18 half Ironmans were definitely early mornings and just trying to juggle and balance kids and family and just doing the best I could. But I kept doing it because I felt like it was so important to keep doing something for me. And I noticed that when I did, I was a much better mom, a much better wife, and just a happier person all around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
I
agree.
just, yeah, don't you think so many moms, new moms, kind of tend to forget themselves and just serving their kids? And
Yeah. I think that's very common.
yeah, and I think it's a good thing, but it
Yeah.
also is important to remember to take care of ourselves too, because that's ultimately helps us be even better moms.
Absolutely. I think that we need a break of something that re-energizes and rejuvenates us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was the tricky part, is I did have to wait till my kids were sleeping through the night to get up early, because if I was waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
and not getting a full night's sleep, I definitely was not rejuvenated. So that was
Right.
I did wait until my kids were old enough to be sleeping through the night.
Yeah. So, what did you learn about your body during those training times? Like, did you adjust your diet? Like, did you figure out there were certain things your body was naturally much better at? Like, what did you learn about your body?
Oh, as far as my diet goes, when I'm training for Ironman races, I get a lot hungrier and I
Yeah.
eat more. And I do notice that definitely I have to shift my diet to a more healthy approach. I have to incorporate a lot more plant-based greens and less foods that cause inflammation, just
Mm.
to help with recovery and energy. I get low on energy if I'm not eating plenty of fruits and veggies. And so that is one thing when I'm in the bulk of training I have to really focus on, because it's so easy to just eat everything because I'm so hungry, but my body has to have good foods to fuel itself. So
Yeah.
I try and focus on that. And then a lot of um, times I'm having to do strength and mobility, especially now that I am kind of mending a gimpy knee.
Mm.
I'm having to do a lot of strength and mobility exercises just to keep my muscles loose and strong. And triathlon, swimming, biking, and running is a lot of repetition for your muscles. And
Yeah.
so if you're not careful, it's really easy to get injured. So I do a lot of strength and mobility to try and offset those muscles that are always being worked, which is I found really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about doing races regularly is just learning what your body really needs. And you have definitely tapped into that. So, how did your 3 half Ironmans go?
Good. The first two I would say were similar. I was just out. They went good, just as expected.
Okay, cool.
And when I say similar, my time difference from the first to the second one was 1 minute. So
Oh, wow.
it's yeah, I kind of felt like I just ran the same race. And so however, when I did my third half Ironman, that was in Palm Springs, and that was just December 2019. So just this last December. And
Okay.
that race was by far my most favorite race I've ever done. And I can tell you a distinct difference between that one versus the other two Ironman races, and it was just my attitude. And
Oh.
I was coming off of my injury, and I didn't have a time goal set in mind. I just wanted to go and have fun. And
Mm.
so one of the main bits of advice my husband gave me before I did that race was he just said, just smile at everyone. And so I loved that. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to see how much light I can spread on this course. And so
Wow.
I decided that during the day I was just going to smile and I was just going to lift people up and just try and be a light for the people around me. And it was amazing. I remember, especially on the run portion, that as I would smile and run, the spectators when you run past, when you're racing, the spectators are waiting for their racer, so they don't typically cheer everyone on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I would smile and go past them, everybody would cheer. They just loved to see
cool.
that someone was smiling. And then also I would make friends on the course. So there was one girl in particular that was really struggling. And so we just made friends for about 4 miles of the run portion. And I kind of just tried to help boost her up. And it was just such a good experience. And when I finished the race, I realized that my time was a lot faster than I even anticipated. So I think that just having that positive, light attitude and wanting to help other people in turn also helped my outcome of my race.
That's incredible. I think that is so true. Like, I have definitely found that for me, like when I'm smiling and I'm happy, or at least if I try to, like, even if I'm not happy, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to just try to be happy, it just gives me energy. And then it makes everybody else's experience who interacts with me also positive. It definitely lifts the vibrations. And so I think what a cool experience. I'm so glad you shared that. That is super powerful. I think it's really powerful in our day-to-day lives. I think it's really powerful in any of the pursuits that we have.
Yeah. And it helps performance. So it's just a win-win all around, right?
Yeah. I love that. So after you did that, what was kind of your next? You were like, okay, I've done my third half Ironman, which remind us again, it's 1.2 mile swim.
Mm-hmm. And 56-mile bike and a half marathon, which is 13 miles.
Okay. And from there you said, okay, I'm ready to do a full.
Well, when I did my third half Ironman, I did that with the intention. I had already signed up for a full. So that third half Ironman was in preparation for the full that I'm supposed to be doing this weekend.
Okay. So that was, okay, I see, because it was December, and that was just like 4 months ago, and now you'd been ready. So so now you're going to, are you just going to continue training? Are you going to kind of lighten up on your training and then wait until kind of things, like what are you doing now that you're not able to do that race and you've chosen to wait?
Yeah, I took a break from training. When I found out that the race in May was getting postponed to September, I just made a choice to take a break. In Ironman training, it's easy to feel burnt out because the training is so intense.
Yeah.
And so I did notice that I was starting to feel that burnout. And because I had been coming off of an injury, I was having a little bit of anxiety during my training with other people. So I was doing, the bulk of my training was by myself. And I think that alone was a mistake because I think that's what kind of caused me to get burnt out. In the past, I would train with friends and other people, and it just because of, like I said, that anxiety kind of drove me to do this training cycle alone. I realized that was not as beneficial. So because I was burnt out, and then when the race got postponed, I just decided that it would be best, and it was a really good opportunity, like we mentioned earlier, to just take a break, listen to my body. And then I knew that since the race was going to be September, my new training cycle will start on May 9th, which is coming up in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And I'll just start my whole training cycle over again, which I'm so excited about because I'm actually really excited to get back into training, and which tells me I probably made the right choice in taking a mental break and just allowing that time for myself to recharge and rejuvenate myself.
Oh, yes. We listen to our bodies. We rejuvenate our spirits. When you think of Feminine Will, the name of this podcast, what do you think of and how it relates to you?
I actually really love the name of the podcast, The Feminine Will. I just think that women are so empowering, and I love that women tend to come together, and I think that when women who are doing hard things come together, we just can empower each other in so many ways. And will to me just means having the will to do something hard, and encouraging each other and empowering each other is I think kind of just where we need to be as women.
Yeah, I love that. If you had one last thing to say to somebody who might be just have something that they've been wanting to do, what would you say?
That is a really good question. I would have a lot I would want to say, but I think I would want to break down the goal process and to say, just understand where you are and set a goal and then focus on the process. And that's really all that triathlon is. It's people that do Ironman races and triathlons aren't superhuman people. They're just people that have figured out that they want to do something, and they focus on that process and getting there. And I think anybody can do anything that they set their mind to. And that is the beauty of goals and progress and growth. And that is a huge reason why I continue to do triathlon, because I'm such a believer in growing and continually improving ourselves. And triathlon has helped me do that in my own life. And I think that it can do that for anybody.
That was my episode with Lindsey Brown. Isn't she great? I loved her story about smiling at everybody. That was the best. So good. If you want to follow her, you can find her on Instagram at Try and Trail Girl. TRI and TRAIL Girl. If you are not following our Instagram, Feminine Will Podcast, go follow us. You get to see all the scoop, all the stories and the insights about the women who are on this podcast. You get to see what they look like. You get to see what they're saying besides what you hear on the podcast. Like, it's just fun to kind of see it come through your feed. And we love the support. We so appreciate every single one of you who listens, who follows. It really is huge to us. To me, I'm the only one doing this show. But to me, I say us, I think, because I always think of us as a community. So it's not just me, although I'm the one making the show and producing it, but I get to talk with these women, and to me, that's us. Share this episode with one person. Just one. And make sure you hit subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. Go check out sweatseat.com. Whatever you're doing, there's no better time than now. Go kill it at whatever you're doing. See you next week.